What's going on, guys? Chandler here, Century 21. Hope you're doing awesome today. Today we're talking about 3 things to avoid as a real estate agent that will make your life so much easier, I promise you. So let's just jump into it. Here we go. Number 1, the less emotional in this game you can be, the better. Now, what I mean by that is you see so many agents become emotional during negotiations, during prospecting for new business. I mean, you see it across the board in this game. People get emotional to the outcome. And I promise you, the less emotional you can be, it helps you, it helps your clients, it helps the other agent, lender, title, whoever's involved. Don't be emotional. So for example, I'll give you an example that I was at fault to, a time that I actually fell to this. And it was probably one of the most emotional I've ever gotten in a transaction. And I'm a pretty low-key guy, so that's saying a lot. And it actually happened, would have been last fall, give or take. And I had these buyers that we had under contract, and their neighbor was actually their lender. And so I was dealing with them. They already had a personal relationship. But what ended up happening was the lender overpromised and underdelivered. And when we got closer to the appraisal deadline, there's a lot of things that weren't coming to fruition with what he told us would. And it just got very emotional because instead of owning up to it, he tried to put blame on me. And where I fell, where I made my mistake, is I let ego get involved. And I reacted based off ego compared to reacting with a real estate mindset. And it was me versus the lender now. Now it was me saying it was his fault, and he was saying it was my fault. And during that whole time, the reality is it didn't matter who was right or wrong. The reality is we are both wrong because we didn't have our client's best interest in mind, right? It was all ego based, and man, I lost days of sleep over that, and we ended up getting the deal done, but it was a lot of personal attacks thrown at me and a lot of defense coming back at him, and it was just nothing fun. You know, it was nothing pretty. So I could have saved myself a lot of headache by reacting in a very professional way right from the get-go. Even if he was attacking me, it would have saved everyone so much time. So learn to get less emotional about it. Another thing is I see a lot of agents prospecting for new business. Whether this is family and friends and getting very emotional if they decide to go with somebody else. I used to, I'll be honest. But the reality is, that's on you. That's on you. You got to take ownership for that. That means that you weren't staying in front of them enough. That means you weren't bringing enough value to the table. That means something was lost during that whole relationship that they decided to go with somebody else. And majority of the time, it's not coming from a place of they're not coming from a place of trying to hurt you. They just don't know any better. Most people don't know any better. You know, maybe I see a lot during the new construction route. You know, you'll be talking to somebody and they go to a model home and the builder agent ends up locking them down because you never got a buyer broker with them. Now all of a sudden you're mad at them because they didn't use you, but the reality is you should have had a conversation with them beforehand about it. You should have been at the model home with them. You should have. So don't get mad at them. Don't get mad at the expired that doesn't want to talk to you or the for sale by owner that doesn't want to talk to you. Everybody's doing the best they can with what they know, right? The for sale by owner is trying to sell their home by themselves because that's what they believe will get them more money. It's not because they're stupid. It's not because they're dumb or don't know what they're talking about. I've seen this number of times where an agent will call out the for sale by owner and call them names or be very passive aggressive because the for sale by owner does not want to meet with you. What are you doing, guys? You're giving a bad reputation to everybody else that's calling. We had that happen earlier here at this brokerage. We had a couple agents that were just being complete knuckleheads and being very rude. They ended up getting let go. I think there was 2 of them, but they ended up getting let go because they're too aggressive and they weren't being agents. They weren't being, what we try to do. So get less emotional in the transaction. It will help you. Number 2, guys, communication. Now, I've heard this on a number of years that the biggest complaint that real estate agents get from other realtors or from clients or whoever is a lack of communication. Crazy, right? You would think that with a job that is your main thing to do all day. Communicate. Whether it's new business, communicate to the lenders, title, appraiser, anybody. You would think that we do a better job of communicating, but year after year, we see that same complaint come back to us. It's wild. Especially when I'm calling expired listings, that's the number one complaint you hear from them as well, is they'll say that the agent came in, they talked the talk in their presentation, and then as soon as they got the listing, they disappeared. They aren't answering their calls as much as they should. They're not communicating how the showings are going, feedback. They're not communicating on a game plan on what to do next. And they end up getting super frustrated. And just like the agents that are getting emotional, these agents cause cause more issues. Oh man, all right. These agents cause issues for the other agents out there because now these people are frustrated with agents because all they think is they're these snakes that came in and got our deal and disappeared, and all they want is money and didn't communicate and get the job done. So communicate, guys. You see this as well on the real estate side. I'll tell you, man, that is super frustrating when you either are trying to set up a showing for this agent's listing and you can't get any kind of call back or text back or anything about whether or not you can see the property, or when you communicate that you're sending over an offer and you're trying to leave a voicemail that you're sending an offer, they don't communicate that they received it. They don't communicate on what the sellers think of it. There's no communication going on the offer. I mean, the list goes on and on and on and on. It gets super frustrating. Now on the flip side, as an agent, I've seen communication be one of the best things I can do with my business because two things happen. One, the quicker you respond and the clearer you respond with your communication, the less issues you will have during the transactions. It's so important to know this, guys. The quicker you respond to whether it be due diligence issues, appraisal issues, anything, the more time you'll have to solve it. I used to, like I said, I've been at fault for these myself. I have pushed things off to do it tomorrow. I'll do it later. This isn't a huge deal. I can figure this out in a few days. Then guess what? Either the buyer goes out of town, seller goes out of town, somebody's not communicating, and all of a sudden you have no time to solve this issue. And once was a small little issue, now it becomes everything. So the quicker you respond, the more time you'll have to solve issues. And at the same time, clients love when you communicate. They love when you're on the same page with them. You know, you're never gonna have clients that get mad at you for over communicating. I've gotten more reviews, I've got more clients based on just the mere fact if I call them back first. I call them back on the information that I told them I would. Communicate, communicate, communicate. Number 3, guys, and we'll end it with this one, don't stop your momentum. Now, I see this with everybody, and the agents that seem to really hit that next level are the ones that figure this out, is don't stop your momentum when things are going right. Meaning, don't stop the things that you were doing to get you the business in the first place when business is going well. Typically, you kind of see a 90-day cycle from when you start kind of prospecting and getting business going. You'll see the results from that in about 90 days, give or take, right? Could be longer, could be shorter, but that's kind of what you see on average. So what happens is you're hammering, you get all business going, all of a sudden you're showing properties, you got listings, and then you stop paying attention to the thing that got you there in the first place, which was the prospecting. So you're no longer prospecting because you got to take care of your business, but once those deals close, guess what happens? You weren't doing that thing beforehand. You weren't working out and eating right, so those muscles that were once there disappear. Then you're up and down, you're in that roller coaster effect, and you're always chasing business, and you never have that consistency in this business that's possible. So don't stop the things that get you there in the first place. Don't stop your momentum. Learn to time block. Learn to have a schedule, follow a schedule, and keep on it regardless of where business is at, and things will go awesome for you guys. I'll end it with that. Thanks so much for watching. Like this video, subscribe if you guys want to see more, comment some videos you'd like to see in the future, and any questions, love to help, and I'll see you on the next one. Peace.